Hello everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Q&A with Christiaan. My name is Christiaan van Hemert, and in this video series I answer questions that were asked by members of the Rosenberg Academy. The Rosenberg Academy is an online gypsy jazz school which you can find at rosenbergacademy.com. Today's episode deals with left-hand voicings for rhythm guitar. I already spent an episode on mostly the right hand or the mechanics of rhythm, so go check it out. It's episode 1, basic gypsy jazz rhythm. But in this episode I want to focus solely on the voicings that you might use when playing gypsy jazz as a rhythm guitar player. Which are the correct voicings or chords to play as a gypsy jazz rhythm guitar player? It's not an easy question to answer because for every single chord there are hundreds of ways of playing that particular chord. And some might sound great in some situations and others might not. I'm going to teach you some safe chords, safe ways of playing those chords that fit most situations. And I will do that through teaching you some formulas. And formulas are short chord progressions that you can find in all gypsy jazz tunes. So like 3 or 4 chords that go together. After that, I'm gonna go through some exercises that will help you practice those formulas. And then I will give you an example with an example tune, and that will be Coquette. But first, before we start with the formulas, take a look at this list of the 20 most played string tunes in jam sessions. You can play all these tunes with the provided formulas, and as you can see, Coquette is also on this list. Okay, let's go to the first formula. The first formula is a 2-5-1 in a major key. Those are 3 chords, the 2 chord, the 5 chord, and the 1 chord. The 2 chord is a minor 7th chord. The 5 chord is a 7th chord, or we can call it a dominant chord. And the 1 chord is either a 6th chord or a major 7th. And both are fine, but I prefer playing the 6th chord. I almost never play the major 7th chord. You can play them, it sounds nice, but I prefer the more neutral sound of the 6th chord. There are many ways of playing that 2-5-1, but will teach you the 2 basic ways of playing a 2-5-1. So let's start with a 2-5-1 in the key of G. So the chords will be A minor 7, D7, and G6. A minor 7, I play it like this. It's all on the 5th fret with 2 fingers, so my first finger is not doing anything. And I mute the A string with my 2nd finger. So these are the notes. The 5 chord is the same position on the guitar, played like this. So it's 5-5-4, 5-5-5 frets, I mean. If you have trouble playing the 2 notes with your 2nd finger on the E and the A string, you could also mute the A string and just play. Both sounds fine. This is not muted. This is muted. Then we go to the 1 chord, the 6th chord. I start on the A string now. I play 5. These are frets again. 5-5-4, 5-5. With 3 fingers, so the 2nd finger is playing 2 notes, then the 1st finger is playing 1 note, and then 2 notes with my 3rd finger. Now you have a choice. You can either mute the low E string with your thumb, or you can play the root, which is a little stretched, it's on the 3rd fret. Both options are fine. You can either play the root or you can mute it. To be precise, the 5 chord we played, the D7 is actually a D7-9, but I just prefer calling it D7. And the 1 chord we just played is actually a G6-9, but I just call it a G or a G6. So all 3 chords in a row would be A minor 7, D7, G6. Let's play it in a rhythm. So 1 bar for the A minor 7, 1 bar for the D7, and 2 bars for the G6. And then I'll loop it a couple of times. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So let's go to the other way of playing 2-5-1. Let's go to the key of C, because it's in the same position on the guitar. First chord is D minor 7. And I'll play it like this. So that's 5, then muted notes, then 3, 5, 5, 5. It's a D minor 7, 9, but I call it D minor 7. Then we go to the 5 chord, which is G7. Play it like this. So that's 3, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 muted strings. You could also mute the A string and not play a note with the first finger. So then would be 3, mute, 3, 4. Mute, mute. Both are fine. And then we go to C6-9. I play it like this. So that's 3, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3. You could also play it like this. Same notes, but I don't play 2 notes with my third finger, but I play 3, 4 on the high B and E string. Okay, let's put a rhythm to it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second formula is a 2-5-1 in a minor key. And I'm going to give you 4 ways this time, just because some ways fit different situations better than others. Let's start with a 2-5-1 in G minor. So the 2 chord would be a A half diminished, sometimes written down as A minor 7 flat 5, same thing. I prefer calling it A half diminished. You can recognize them also on paper by a A with a 0 with a line through it. A half diminished. Going to D7 flat 9. I add a flat 9 because it sounds nice in minor keys. Going to either G minor, regular G minor chord, or G minor 6. Let's start with the one that goes to G minor 6. So A half diminished. It's 5 mute, 5, 5, 4 mute. And then D7 flat 9, 5 mute, 4, 5, 4 mute, G minor 6. Now you might say, hey, this looks like the 7th chord, the dominant chord we were discussing in the major 2-5-1, and that's true. It looks like a C7, but the difference is that I'm not playing 2 notes with my second finger. I'm only playing 1 note, the low G, and then muting the A string. The rest is the same. So 3, mute, 2, 3, 3, 3. Let's play a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this 2-5-1 will work in most cases, but in some cases the G minor 6 or minor 6 chord just doesn't work, doesn't fit the melody, doesn't fit the mood of the song, and then you're better off just playing a regular minor chord. So you probably know this chord, the G minor bar chord. I use that chord, but I don't play a bar chord. I play it like this. So I mute the low E string with my thumb, and then I play all the other notes. So the reason for me to do it like that is because it's easier on my left hand to play it like this. If you play a bar chord and you have to play a fast song and you have to press down, release every beat, your hand will get tired playing a bar chord. And also, because the chord is so basic, there's already enough G's in the chord. There's so many G's. In the bar chord, there's 3. So I play it like this and make the chord a little bit lighter. And just because the rhythm should sound light anyway, it's easier to play light rhythm if you play the G minor chord like this. So let's put a rhythm to it again. Let's play both 2-5-1s. First G minor 6th, and then I interchange with the regular G minor one, and you can hear the difference. Okay, let's go to a 2-5-1 in C minor. The chords would be D half diminished, G7 flat 9, and C minor. So D half diminished. It's only on the middle 4 strings. No high E string, no high E string, no low E string. And then it's 5-6, 5-6. Going to G minor, G7 flat 9. So that's 5, 6, 4, 6, so your 3rd and 4th finger can stay from the previous chord. And the low and high E string again are muted. So now some of you might say, hey, isn't that a diminished chord? Isn't that D diminished? It is, but it can also serve as G7 flat 9. It's basically the same thing. Going to C minor. And this looks like the bar chord, the regular bar chord, but it isn't, because I'm only playing one note with my first finger. I'm only playing the 3rd fret on the A string, the C. That's the C. I'm not playing the note on the high E string. It's just 4 notes. Again, middle strings. Again, it's easier on the hands, and also it fits this 2-5-1 really well because I'm playing all 3 chords on the middle 4 strings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now another way of playing this 2-5-1 in C minor is to play it like this. D half diminished, I play this. It's only 3 notes. It's 4 mute, 3, 5, mute, mute. Going to regular G7 we just played in the major 2-5-1. Going to C minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. I prefer using this last way of playing the 2-5-1 when I'm playing higher up on the neck. For instance, if I go to F minor, I could play like let's say F minor, so that would be here, right? I could play it like this. Or but I prefer playing right. So you see, I also interchange between all two fives. Of course, I played. Let's go back to the C minor one. You can play. You could also play, or. So I made combinations between all the 2-5-1s. I did it by accident here, but it doesn't matter. You can do that. But you could also just learn the 4 ways I just presented and use them, and you'll be fine. The next formula we're going to talk about is the turnaround. The turnaround is a short chord progression of 2 bars at the end of a chorus to go back to the beginning. A lot of songs end on the 1 chord. Let's say the song is in G, so the song will end on 2 bars of G, and then the first bar of the song is a G again. So you could just play 2 bars of G and then start again with 1 or 2 bars of G, but you could also add in some chords in those last 2 bars of the chorus to create some drive to go back to the beginning, to the top of the chord progression. Now this only works in songs that have this kind of thing going with ending on the 1 chord and then starting on the 1 chord. But those are most songs. If you have a song that starts on the 4 chord or another chord, you obviously cannot use this. But in most songs, you'll be able to use this. I'm going to give you 4 turnarounds, 2 in the key of G and 2 in the key of C again. So the first one, very easy one, is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2 beats of G6, and then 2 beats of D flat 7, going to 4 beats of D7. It's very easy and it sounds nice. Django used to use this a lot, actually. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is has 4 chords. It's 2 beats of G6, 2 beats of B flat diminished, and you play it like this. It's 6 mute, 5, 6, 5, mute. Now maybe some of you might say, hey, isn't that like the D7 flat 9 moved up 1 fret? That's true. It's also a E flat 7 flat 9, but you can also call it B flat diminished. Now it's B flat diminished. 2 beats of B flat diminished, and then 2 beats of A minor 7, and 2 beats of D7. So you recognize the 2 and 5 there of the major 2-5-1. So let's put them in the context of a song. Maybe we're playing Hungaria, and then so we end. Here we go. Yeah, so let's play the first 2-5-1. Now it comes. Okay, let's go to 2 turnarounds in the key of C. The first one is a typical Django one, and also one that Noesje of the Rosenberg trio, Noesje Rosenberg, plays a lot. Actually, he plays both of them, but this one is the more easy one. It's 4 beats of C6-9. And then 2 beats of this chord, typical Django chord. The proper name would be D flat 7 sharp 9. But I know, you can call it that, but just remember the grip. It's 4, 4, 1. Sorry, 4, 4, 3, 4, 5. So again, it's 2 notes with my second finger, but you could also mute the A string and just play. I like to play both. 2 beats of that, and then 2 beats of D flat 6/9. Same as C6/9, just moved 1 fret up. And then we're back to C for the beginning of the song. So the whole turnaround would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's put it in the song. Let's say we're playing All of Me. So the ending would be. So here we are. Do it again. Here we go. Okay, the other one has 4 chords, 2 beats of C6/9, 2 beats of E flat 7, 2 beats of D minor 7, and then 2 beats of that chord again, D flat 7 sharp 9, back to C. So let's play All of Me again, ending, starting on the F. Here we go. So again, all 4 2/5-1s. The first one in G. Second one. First one in C. And the second one. This next formula or chord progression is not the most used one in gypsy jazz, but it is used in some often played songs like Django's Tiger and What Is This Thing Called Love. I've heard it being referred to as a walk down. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. The walk down part of this are actually the first 3 chords. And now I'm going to A minor 7, but sometimes people go to D7 immediately. First chord is G with a B in the bass, so it's just a G chord, but with a B in the bass. And only 3 notes, so it's 7, mute, 5, 7. And the highest 2 strings are muted. Then we go to B flat diminished, and I also play it on 3 strings, 3 notes. 6, mute, 5, 6, mute, mute. And then A minor 7, D7, or immediately D7. Sometimes the chords last for 2 beats instead of a whole bar, and then it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or. So I wouldn't spend too much time in learning this progression over the whole guitar neck, because it is not used that much, although some people like to throw this in everywhere. For example, they like to use it as a turnaround. I don't really like it as a turnaround, because the first chord of this progression is the 1 chord. It is a G chord if the piece is in G, but it's not the real G. It's a G with a B in the bass, and it sounds weak to me when you use it in a turnaround. So I would only use it when the song is asking for it, like Django's Tiger or What Is the Thing Called Love. Let's go to the next formula. The third formula I want to discuss briefly is the most complicated one, but I want to be very short about it, because if I would go deep into the material, it's an advanced topic not for this video, because in this video I aim to be very simple, very basic. But it's called the Christophe Changes. And there's many flavors of Christophe Changes. But in the end, it doesn't really matter, because you'll see that in a jam session, a lot of people play different flavors of the Christophe Changes at the same time. And although in theory that would sound awful, in practice it doesn't really matter. So if you have your own band and you're discussing a song which has Christophe Changes and you want a certain flavor of Christophe Changes, then by all means make that happen. But for a jam session, if you just know 2 ways of playing the Christophe Changes, you'll probably be fine. So you recognize the Christophe Changes because they're always in the last 8 bars of a song, and it starts on the 4 chord. So let's say we're in the key of G, then the Christophe Changes would start on C, and then the second chord would either be C sharp diminished or a C minor 6. I'm going to teach you the one with C minor 6. It's the one that I play the most, and if somebody plays a C half diminished, C sharp diminished, and you playing a C minor 6, it doesn't really matter. It's so short. But the progression goes like this: C, 6, 9, C minor 6, G, E7, A7, D7, G. And then you can play a turnaround. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. I play the weird turnaround. I'll play turnarounds. The second turnaround in the key of G. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a good way to play a Christophe Changes in the key of G. It would also work in the key of A, then everything would be a whole fret up, or the key of F. Now let's go to the key of C. Then the Christophe Changes would start on F. So let's do the one with a diminished chord, just to see how it sounds. So then you would get F6, F sharp diminished, C, A7, D7, G7, C. Turn around the C. Let's do the second turnaround. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's actually all I want to say about Christophe Changes. Again, there's many different ways. Maybe someone who doesn't want a dominant at the end there. Maybe wants the regular 2-5-1. Maybe someone wants the minor 6 or the diminished. You can talk about it, but if you just call it in a jam and somebody calls out a tune and it has Christophe Changes at the end, just play one of those and you'll be fine. Exercise 1 is to memorize and practice all the 2-5-1s in both major and minor keys, but I'm going to do all the examples in major keys. The point of these 2-5-1s is not to be able to calculate the combinations like 2, so that's then A, D, G, and then in E flat would be F, and B flat, E flat. No, you have to memorize them so that when you see them written down, you know immediately that it's a 2-5-1, or someone shouts to you in a jam session, it's a 2-5-1 and B flat, and you immediately know the chords. Oh, it's C minor 7, F7, just because you memorized them. So you could either sit behind a desk and try to memorize all the 2-5-1s, and there's only 12. Well, there's also 12 in the minor keys, but the letters stay the same. Or you could do this exercise. And then when you do this exercise, you play the 2-5-1s, but you also have to shout out or call out every chord while you're playing it. And I'm not going to do that because that would mess with the audio of the guitar in this video, but you will see the note names right here. So the exercise is as follows. You start with the 2-5-1 in C major, D minor 7, G7, C6-9, and then you play one bar for the A minor 7, one bar for the D minor 7, one bar for the G7, and 2 bars for the C6. Just so you know, there's many variations of this 2-5-1s in songs. I mean, now I play 1 bar, 2 bars, but it could also be every chord less a half bar, or every chord less 2 bars, or one chord less 2 bars and the other one less a half bar. So, but still, it's still a 2-5-1. But for this exercise, we do 1 bar, 2, 1 bar 5, and 2 bars for the 1 chord. After I played that 2-5-1 in C, I'm going to play 2-5-1 in the key a whole step down. So in the key of B flat, and then I'm going to key of A flat, to G flat, to E, to D, and then I'm back to C, and I played 6 keys. Then I'm going to shift half step up and start with a 2-5 in D flat. And then going a whole step down, so 2-5 in D flat, 2-5 in B, in A, in G, in F, in E flat, and in D flat again. And then I played 6 more 2-5-1s, and I played all 12. And while I'm doing that, I'm calling out the chord names, which I'm not going to do, but you should do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now for some of the 2-5s, I made a choice to play one way over the other way, because when I was in F, I did G minor 7, C7, but I could have also made this choice. So you could make the exercise more challenging and always play the same way, but then sometimes you're very high up on the guitar. Doesn't really matter, you can be random with it. The point is to memorize all the 2-5-1s and immediately be able to play them on the guitar. So you should do the same thing with minor 2-5s, and then there's even more ways to do it. But you can make your own variations of exercises. But this is a very good way of both practicing all the 2-5s, practice your rhythm chops for your right hand also, of course, and memorizing all the 2-5-1s. Let's go to exercise 2. The second exercise is to practice the major key turnarounds, and I practice these per key. So I start in the key of G for now, and I play all 4 turnarounds, because I have 2 here, and I have 2 here. And I play them connected. So there's several ways of doing this, but let's say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4 is, those are the 4 we discussed. So I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's change it up. Let's play 1, 3, 2, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I could play 1, 4, 2, 3, or there's many combinations. And I do this in every key. Let's do one more key. Let's do key of D. And let's do 4, 3, 2, 1. No, 4, 2, 3, 1. So let me see. Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I made the right order. Confusing myself. But you should write down some of these orders and then practice this in every key. And you could stop between the keys, but you could also make it more challenging for yourself and just play continuously and just play turnarounds, one step up, or half step up, half step up. If you do half steps, you play all 12 in a row. If you do whole steps, you do 6, and then you have to do a second series starting a whole half step up. Let's go to the third exercise. The third exercise is to play dominant chains. So it's a string of dominant chords through the circle of fifths. So maybe you don't know what the circle of fifths is. Just find it on the internet, or there's a YouTube video about it. But maybe it's good to print out a sheet which gives you the circle of fifths. It's all 12 keys arranged in a certain order, and you play the dominant chords in that order. And it's a good way to learn the circle of fifths also, because you should know that. So while you're playing all those chords, just call out the chords out loud, which I won't do again, but you'll see them here. So you start, for example, you start on a C7, and then you go through the circle of fifths. So you go to F7, and then you go to B flat 7, E flat 7, A flat 7, D flat 7, F sharp flat 7, B7, E7, A7, D7, G7, and you're back to C7. And you played all 12 notes. So let me give you an example, starting with C7 and every chord for 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be able to do this starting on any chord, but of course this chain stays the same, but you're just starting at a different spot. And now I started with this C7, but I could also start with this C7 and make different choices. And now you could do this with any chord type. So I did this with dominance, which makes the most sense, but let's do it with minor, no, let's do it with minor 7 chords. Yeah, minor 7 chords. And I'll start on C sharp 7, minor 7. And then I'll go through the circle of fifths again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm back at the top. And you can do this with 6 chords, with half diminished chords. You could even do it with diminished chords. I wouldn't do this too much because in the beginning it's a real drain on your brains. But for sure do it with dominant chords. And yeah, that's exercise 3. This is a question I often get. how to memorize the chords to all those tunes. Some people just don't understand how it's possible to memorize dozens or maybe even hundreds of tunes. But now that you've seen those formulas, you might think differently. Because it's not the point to memorize every single chord of every tune. You should look for formulas and just memorize the formulas. For example, when I have to memorize the bridge of Coquette, for example, I'm not going to memorize A minus 7, D7, G6, E7, A7. No, I'm memorizing formulas. So the fourth formula for me would be 2-5-1 in G. And then it's a dominant chain starting on E7, for example. That will be one way. Let's look at the bridge of Honeysuckle Rose. It's a 2-5-1 in F, then it's a 2-5-1 in C, but the C chord is a C7 because that's the 5 for F. So that's the way I memorize it, and you might find different ways of memorizing those formulas, but try memorizing tunes in formulas instead of single chords, and you'll see it will go much quicker, and also you'll see a lot of similarities between different tunes, which also makes it a whole lot easier to memorize them. Let's take a closer look at the examples on Coquette. I'll first break it down in formulas and then I'll play it for you. So it starts with 1. We're in the key of D, so 1 for 2 bars. And then we have 2, 5, repeat, 2, 5, 1. And then a 5 in the 8th bar to go to the second A. Same thing, 1 for 2 bars, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1 for 2 bars. And then we're in the bridge. That's 2, 5, 1 in G. And then we have a dominant chain starting on E7. And then it's only 2 chords in that dominant chain. So E7, A7. Now we're on the third A. Same thing. 1, 2 bars, and then 2, 5, 2, 5. And then I have 2 bars left to play a turnaround to take me back to the beginning. Let's play it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very easy tune, and you will notice it as you go down the list of tunes, and I put the list in the order that I think is most logical to learn them. You'll find that many of these tunes follow a very easy pattern of common formulas. So good luck with that. We've come to the end of the 3rd episode of Q&A with Christiaan. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the subscribe button right here. It helps me stay motivated to make more of these videos. And I will be back in 2 weeks, spending some time, some episodes on starting with gypsy jazz improvisation, learning the style, practicing improvisation, because I got many questions about that. So, later.